Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Daniel Whittington. I'm the Chancellor at Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. This is gifted drams, and what that is periodically brands will send me something or bring by something, and part of their intention is that it show up on this channel at some point. And I don't promise it, but we've started making them available. And so we honor it as a paid sponsorship because that's what it is. But just so that I mix it up a little bit, I put their names into a hat and I pull it, and at random, we decide what we think about it, completely blind, and then I do some Googling and see if I can learn some more information about it if they haven't given me anything. Today, what I picked was W.M. Tarr. Tarr? T-A-R-R? Tarr? We're about to find out. This one, sorry, I needed a glass. This one sent a letter. I may not need to Google. This might be everything. I will, just to see what the internet shows. This one is Old W.M. Tarr Kentucky Straight Whiskey. And so they sourced Kentucky whiskey. Oh, Bardstown. Must be, maybe it's Bardstown. We'll find out. Okay, so I'll read this in a second. First, I'm going to go in blind on the taste. Old W.M. Tarr. Ugh. Woo! I need to let that breathe a second. Is this a mix of... Oh, it's Kentucky Straight Whiskey. Okay. This is freaking my brain out because it started as a really kind of shiny ethanol-forward bourbon. And then just as it started to fill out into caramel and it switched gears and the after secondary nose was rye. And so at first I thought it was like just this is like a really low rye. But every time I go back to the nose, it does this shape-shifting thing where it's like, I'm going to be bourbon, no rye. I'm going to be bourbon, no rye. Every time. It's so weird. What, did they mix things together? They did. They took a 7-year-old bourbon and they blended it with an 8-year-old rye. Wow. Okay. So 2 barrels. The rye is 51 rye. That's a really low rye, high corn. That's a Kentucky person's opinion of how rye should taste. And the bourbon was 13% rye, 75 corn, 12 malted barley. Okay. W.M. Tarr Distillery. Manchester Reserve. Aged at least 7 years because one of the barrels was 7 and the other one was 8. All right. There's a lot of information on that. Kudos to them for being very transparent about all of the ingredients on this. I'd like to know who distilled it. I'm sort of guessing it's Bardstown, but who knows? Maybe the letter will tell us more. Yeah, again, the nose does the shape shifting. Wow, what it turns into is the most... Imagine if you mixed all the hallmarks of a rye. The dill, the dryness, the cinnamon, the herbal component, the grass. And then while you were experiencing all of that, you chewed on a Twizzler or a red vine. And that combo is what I'm tasting. The rye really dominated. Okay. Chris Tedderton is the one who sent this, and I really hope I got his name right. He invested, I'm not going to read his whole letter because it's long. I'm going to synopsis this it for you, which is today's version of synopsis. He's a fan. He got new into whiskey. He and his family investment company recently invested in and now bought a brand called RD1. I'm going to skip that. They only sell in Kentucky. Oh, As of 2021, soon to be sold. Good Lord, how long have I had this bottle? He references 2021. Very soon it's going to be available. Dude, Tedderton, 2 years I waited on this bottle, it looks like. Sorry, 3 years. Sorry about that. Let's see. The RD1 stands for Registered Distillery Number 1. The line they currently have is William Tarr. He helped start the first federally registered distillery in Lexington in the 1860s. The event space is across the street, is on the same street as the original distillery. The Ashland Distillery, later renamed William Tarr Distillery, they resurrected the name for the brand. You launched at the end of 2020. They've sourced their barrels. Yeah. Oh, it's 60-40 rye bourbon, which makes sense because the rye definitely took over. There was a non-disclosure on where we got the barrels, but we're upfront about sourcing. Okay. So they signed an agreement where they can't tell anybody where the whiskey came from. 1792, maybe? Probably. I don't know. It could be anything. Honestly, there's no point in making it up. There's now like a half dozen huge companies in Kentucky that's their primary purposes. One of their major incomes is offloading for people who are sourcing. 114 proof, yeah, that's why it's carrying so much flavor. And they're doing a new custom bottle in 2022, now 2 years ago. Jeez. Okay. Chris, who knows, man? A lot can happen in 2 years. Maybe you guys have divested from this company and you don't even own it anymore. But you sent me a whiskey a long time ago, and I found it when we were rearranging the vault, and I found your letter. And here we are. So, thank you. I'm going to look up something real quick. I'm going to take another sip, and then I'm going to look up something and see if there's any more information. No, I'm getting that same really rife. It's great. It tastes good. It's dense. It's rich. The bourbon only shows up in the way that like a cherry sweetness would impact this whiskey. The vast amount of the palate is rye. The nose is still too ethanol for me. It's got holes in it like Swiss cheese. And it's shiny and ethanol forward. And then at the very, very, very end, when you think that's all there is, then the nose switches into like overly sweet rye accent notes. All right, I'm gonna pull this a little bit closer so we can be in one place over here. And hey, RD1 Spirits, there they are. Yes, oh, they're still doing this bottle. One of 2 original offerings. Okay, that's cool. Not really any other info. They are shipping now. The history and the vision, established 2020. Okay, that's all the stuff he told us. What do their other things look like? Oh, hey. RD1. I feel like I've seen that bottle. That's a cool looking bottle. It's obviously custom. I feel like I might have had one over here, but maybe I'm just misremembering. Kentucky born and raised. Do we still know? Yeah, they won awards because it's a good Kentucky whiskey. What others are saying? Oh, that was on the bourbon. Anyway, this is cool. We don't have a lot of information other than their new lineup is a really well designed kind of setup. That was the first release. It took me a long time to actually try it. Meet our team. Hey, there's Chris Tedderton right there on the TV. Well, the YouTubes. Cool. Okay. That's cool. All right, not a ton of information, but a well-designed website, and it looks pretty. And interesting. At some point, maybe I'll try the other ones. Maybe on camera, maybe not. When it comes to blends and mixes of things, I always tend to prioritize nose over palate. I love the palate's got to be nice, but I always aim to perfect the nose before I go about playing with the palate. If I was blending this one, I would have done a little more to figure out that nose, but the palate is very interesting, very rich, very nice. It's cool. All right. Cheers to you. Thank you, Chris. And cheers to the rest of you. I'm really glad you're here. Like and subscribe.